Good evening, everyone. This is Henry Gambell with SimplerOptions.com, and in today's free video, I wanted to take a look at 3 of the key earnings setups that will be coming up for next week. 2 of which I think have very clear setups, and the third will be one that we want to apply maybe a little more thought process to. A lot of these too, we will have to see exactly where they're trading, right before the number. But the main things that I wanted to point out with you on Google is that I think this is a very clear setup to the buy side, and it may be significant. Now, when I say something like that, you cannot go piling into this earnings trade with more risk than you would on anything else. It could be completely wrong, and you just don't want to lose more than you can truly account for. Okay, with that being said, why do I think there will be a bigger than normal move? The main part of it is because we have a daily squeeze, so it's showing a compression of volatility. And then when you come back and look at this on the weekly chart, you're going to see exactly the same thing. So what happened the last time we had these signals? Here's where you can see this in Google. It ended up being an explosive move. This looks very similar, and all trading is trying to use past patterns to use them in current times to make decisions. That's exactly what I'm doing here, and I will be playing Google exactly like you might expect for something like that. So that'll be a big one to focus on tomorrow or next week. And another that is very clear to me is Starbucks. So this one has a little bit more of an extreme V. Now, I'd prefer to see a pattern that had maybe a little bit more maturity to it. Something like that tends to give me a little bit more confidence in the base. But this is still, pretty good. Exactly the same thing around the squeeze. So those weekly signals tend to be very powerful. I will try to play those dedicated to the buy side. The third that I think we've got to give a little bit more consideration to is Amazon. Now this one does not have any squeezes. When you look at it off of the weekly chart, the main thing I would want to take a look at is how have we closed this week in relationship to our 618 of this move. We have come well above it, so that would suggest that we could play it to the buy side. I don't know that this one's going to be as easy of a decision. To some degree, we'll have to see where it's trading as we get into this day. What I would like to see is that if we're anywhere near 650, then we can start to work strategies like the butterflies that we've covered in these previous videos and more in the paid side of things, but essentially setting it up to where if the stock happened to trade kind of neutral around 650, we would do great. We define our risk to the downside and then give ourselves no risk to the upside. So those are the types of strategies I'll be looking to employ. Those are 3 of the biggest earnings that I'll be keeping an eye on next week, and hopefully gives you a couple ideas on how you can add those into your trading. You guys have a great weekend, and I will touch base with you again first thing next week.